Okay, good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. I think this is fantastic. So, as a military guy, I got to tell you that, yeah, I have slides, and I'm going to be a little rigid, so just bear with me. But let's get started real quick. So, contemporary leadership. Before I get into the slides, though, I had a couple of great conversations before we started, and I was asked, how do you get people to want to come into the military for one? How do you get them to stay? And oh, by the way, how do you bridge the gap in generations? I think I'll answer some of those questions, so let's get on it real quick. So we all know that our military is very modern. It is very capable. We are lethal, we are precise, we are technologically advanced. We know where to go and what to get done. Our people are intelligent, they're innovative. We cultivate that, we push them, we get them that drive to get those answers to the complex challenges we face globally and at home. But being the best is not easy. Anywhere we go in the world, whatever we do, we have to be educated, we have to be trained, we have to be thoughtful in how we go about it, but moreover, we have to recognize it starts with people. It starts with a volunteer. I'm going to come back to that volunteer piece because that's very important to how all this works. So as I was going through this, and I was talking through it with my wife, and I said, contemporary leadership, modern military. She said, well, doesn't contemporary mean modern? It's like, okay, fair point. Yes, technically it does. But moreover, I would offer to you, contemporary means in touch. That leadership means you're in touch with what's going on. So let's take a quick trip down history lane. These generals are great in their own respects. Grant, LeMay, and Schwarzkopf, each for very different reasons. They were in touch with what was going on then, with their people, with their technological advances, with the innovations that were coming through their times. And each of the tenets that I'm going to talk about, I think will kind of hit on why their contemporary leadership was relevant then and why it is still relevant today. So without further ado, first, you got to have a map. You got to know where you're going, how you're going to get there. That's that vision. That's that mission. And being very regimented, the Air Force has a very solid vision and mission. We know where we're going. We've got that map. But how did we get the map? We have to have a foundation by which we derive it. We've got to start somewhere. So you got to stay in touch with where you came from. Why was the Air Force, in my particular case, developed? Why did we birth ourselves as the air and space power that we are? So know where you're going, know where you came from, and have a foundation of values. This is that compass to get you through. Our particular set of values, integrity, service, and excellence, is something that's drilled in to all of our volunteers, and for very good reason. It gives us something that is bigger than ourselves, to strive to maintain on and off duty, in and out of uniform, everywhere we go. And that's a big deal, is having that foundation by which to live by and look up to. We also have to cultivate standards. We have to ensure that folks strive to not just meet them, but exceed them, giving people that fire and stoking it while balancing out this new cultured level that we expect them to live by. So keep the standards high. Keep them relevant, keep them achievable, and tell your people that. Have feedback. Have feedback through recognition, right? Tell them when they're doing right, tell them when they're doing wrong. Give them ways to be able to want to advance, want to achieve, want to be able to do that through that horizontal and that vertical feedback piece that we already heard about, which is fantastic. But also be careful not to reward and recognize simply for participation, because that is contrary to getting buy-in, why we do what we do. Getting people to volunteer is hard in and of itself. Bringing them up to a baseline of standards, of a cultivation of values, is harder yet, especially if you don't want to snuff that fire that drove them there in the first place. Have those standards. Make them part of the team. Get them to stay bought into what you're doing. This is the other part that goes hand in hand with the buy-in and the recognition piece, is the diversity and the perspective. You get all that right, and you're going to have people wanting to throw things and ideas and discussions and perspectives at you. So what do you do then? You listen to them. You give them the ability to influence what's going on in the organization because they know where you're going. They've got that same map, they've got that compass, and you keep it all going. It becomes that positive self-licking ice cream cone, right? Perpetuality. But moreover, you have to grow leaders. To make the organization continue, you have to grow. We all know who this team is, right? But why would I show you them on the bench? Grow the bench. My number 2, I'm not teaching him how to be a number 2. I'm teaching him how to be the guy in charge. Make yourself as the leader at whatever level the most replaceable person in the organization. That's growth. That's recognition. And that's buy-in. It gives people something to strive for. So I'm going to kind of wrap it up with this photograph. This photograph, in and of itself, to me, talks about and hits all of those tenets. Having goals, having values, and I'm not really talking about everybody around or what the events surrounded. I'm talking about the little boy. Our country had the values and the standards and the perspective to be able to have that young man do that. And that is the foundation of that volunteer that wants to serve, that wants to come in our military. That's that generational bridge that we built, not the gap that we face. And I think that's kind of an important thing that keeps me coming back to work each and every day, is that we're continuing to grow better citizens for our nation in the long term by having all of these standards. So thanks so much for letting me come and talk and share a little bit of a military perspective with you. Thank you.